G'day, it's Jason here from In Search of Australia. I'm a small YouTube channel based in Australia that started in February 2024 and was monetized in October 2024. So I got monetized within 8 months. And this video is all about the 5 things that I discovered along the way in hope of helping those who are trying to build up their channels to do a little better and get to the same point, because it's quite exciting when you get that first payment. At the end of the video, I'll show you some of the payments that I've received since being monetized. So let's start. Number 1. Create videos that would interest you and research what is out there to find your niche. I started with a broad scope of adventure searching that included ghosts, fungi, relics, gold, gemstones, and ultimately I found that fossicking was the area that most people were interested in. I'll show you here. So I started with fossicking for sapphires, and you can't really go off the views at this point because this is a cumulative amount and it's best I go through what happened. So I made a couple of fossicking videos and I then ventured out to try ghost videos, and you'll notice straight away the difference in the views. Now, my ghost videos were very matter of fact and not the sort of dramatized, overdone ones that most people are watching on YouTube. So a lot of people go to ghost videos to be scared or, dare I say, tricked into believing the ghosts exist. But I was actually doing, I guess, a technical hunt. No interest in it whatsoever. I then tried these ones about ghost mushrooms, which you could see glowing in the dark at night, and a little bit more interest, but it still didn't stick. And you can see even in the analytics, when I go into these, that it pretty much flatlines. There's not a lot of interest on YouTube chasing this sort of area up. So it's that point that I realized I needed to buckle down into doing the fossicking videos. And the other thing that really made me notice was this video here. Now, it's not exactly what you'd call a viral video at 11,000 views, but it was the biggest one at the time and actually hit 10,000 about the time that I was making the mushroom video. So I realized then that I had to stick with the fossicking. And you'll see a big difference here in that if I go into the analytics of a fossicking one, you can see that it's still growing. Now, you can ignore the estimated revenue in this case because this was made way before I was monetized. And so when we're looking at the monetization point, it's very late in the piece. So I was sort of monetized somewhere around here, and really it's only looking at about 400 video views between that time. So only $6. And this is in US, by the way. Having buckled down onto that, I started getting far more increased views in terms of an average view count. So I'd always get over 1,000 generally, and some will go up to 7,000. A lot of the earlier ones, as you saw, were 8,000, and it made me realize that fossicking was the niche that people seemed to find interesting in the way I was presenting it, and also more interest in looking them up on YouTube. The other reason I say niche is important, you usually choose a niche that interests you, and it's far less taxing going about creating videos on something that you're interested in. If you try to go about making videos about things you're not that knowledgeable about, or you're just not willing to really research in detail, you're going to find that it's really hard work. The other thing about it is I would suggest that you pick a niche or an angle on your niche that we call evergreen. Now, an evergreen video means that it never becomes irrelevant. So when I do a fossicking video, I just talk about it in terms of a location and how that location has certain characteristics which will not change. And that means that it's always been relevant. And that's why you'll see that those early videos are actually in the thousands without much problem, whereas new videos will take a little while to get there. If you don't do evergreen videos, so you do something about a current event, you'll get a spike at the time, but it's very unlikely to continue getting views over time. Number 2, criticism is good. When I started making these videos, I obviously got comments and people were either really quite positive, and I have to say that my community, and I'll call it that, the community looking at my videos is very positive, but I did get some criticisms, and the first criticism appeared in this one, and I won't read it out as such, but I'll just sort of point out that I engaged with that criticism because I was interested in what was the issue that they had. So this is not to call the person out. I actually really am thankful for them saying this, but it was talking about being more productive and informative by using both hands and things like that. And so I explained that, yeah, I hadn't got really good equipment and maybe I should make something for them, because they kept the conversation going. You'll see a new comment came up here, and they were talking about how they had their claims and they were trying to work out what they had to do. And so I suggested, oh yeah, maybe I'll make one just looking on sapphires alone. So I made a video how to make or how to not make sapphires, how to find sapphires. And this video at the time was the biggest video I had. It moved a lot faster than the others. And if I go into it, you'll see there's sort of like a quick climb here to about 2,000 in 16 days, which for me at that time was really quite big. Whereas previously, in 14 days, what was it, 500, 400. So it really sort of became apparent to me that the criticism is worth taking on board. So, you know, don't react, read it, take a perspective of the viewers and see what is it that they're finding issue in the video. And it can actually lead to new content for you. And in fact, some of them have provided lots of ideas for content later on, where the comments have things in it about how I could be more efficient doing something a certain way, or use a new piece of equipment and so on. And that created a really nice environment and community. And you'll find that the people who were a little bit critical are quite positive in the feedback as well. The other area of criticism you might sort of start getting hung up on is likes. First off, the dislikes don't show up on your channel. Only you see it. And I actually don't give them a lot of credibility, because it's very easy to just go dislike and not say why. So why does it not get liked? You know, I don't have any information to draw on that. However, I probably could look at it in a ratio sense. If you know being ratioed, I find that obviously my videos aren't really having an issue with dislikes, but if I had something where only 50% of people like the video, then this might actually have some impact on it, and I might have to consider what is it that's the problem with the video. So it's really important to take that criticism on board, but not let it drag you down. That it's not going to really harm your channel having dislikes, for one. It's actually engagement, but it's really good to engage with your audience, because it is social media after all, and you do create a relationship with these people. So criticism being good, if people criticize this video, I'll happily respond. And, you know, I find that the engagement is really worthwhile anyway. What's really good as well is to try and keep a positive community tone. I have, I would say, gated or removed some comments where it's obviously a bit of trolling, and the negative approach isn't really about a critique or a constructive thing to the conversation that started with some people on the comments or to your channel. So if it's going to make people feel uncomfortable seeing that content, I do remove it, because I don't believe it's necessary. But I keep that criticism up there, and I think it's worthwhile because you can really get some better ideas as a result of it. So, number 3. Keep refining your content. So I think the best place to start is my first video. When I go into the analytics of this, you can see here that it drops off quite dramatically. I mean, I only had, towards the end of it, 12% of people, 18% of viewers looking at it. You'll see that you get little peaks and troughs. So up around here, we know that people were interested, but whatever I did at this point, it lost people's interest. And you can click in there and find out. And then I worked out that it's just a lot of me sieving through material, and so I had to work out a way to speed that up or cut it out altogether. And then if I compare that to, let's say, the sniping one, there's 50% there, and it's now sort of 38% at the end. Much better than 12. So 3 times more people are staying on board with it. Now, I don't really make clickbait videos, so I do get a big drop off straight away. If people are bored within the first 30 seconds, there's not much I can do about that unless I really make punchy videos, I guess, and meet that need of the other 50%. But I am finding that this is steadily rising as I keep editing. And the things that I'd look at is I go, hey, there's a little spike here. What was so interesting about that? And then I can play it back and find out. Now that spike's not as good as this huge area here where all of a sudden people are looking, and you can see that there's a bit of underwater photography there. They were more interested in seeing what was there. So we take these things on board in terms of the drops and I should say the troughs and the peaks, and try and refine your content as you go. Still put it out there. It's really good. You'll get criticism, which may be helpful to you, and you'll also get this data so that you know from the viewing habits what exactly happens. So keep refining. I still need to refine, and yeah, I'm going to keep doing that, and I'll cut this bit short because I've made my point. Number 4, don't overload the channel. Be consistent with your uploads, but don't put too much all up at once you've got regular viewers. What I discovered was that if I put 2 videos up in one day, the second video would do better than the first video. And from what I could gather, YouTube tries to promote one of your videos for about 48 hours. Then it drops it off to a natural viewer's behavior. If you put another one in, it sort of muddies the water which one's being promoted, and that means that you won't get the viewership or the spike to promote that first video as well as the second one. So give it about 3 to 4 days. 3 is probably the optimal amount in terms of maximum promotion for each video, and I can show you here in the stats. So a good example is here where I released my ghost video. So you can see these are going in order of release, and I released this one, searching for ghosts on Cockatoo Island, and I got this little peak of one day of 15 views. The catch was I put out another one about EMF readers only a few hours later, and you can see that this one peaked more. These peaks tend to be YouTube promoting your videos on the YouTube homepage, and it's something that you really rely on to get the news spread. I mean, you can obviously share your links on social media and various places like that, but that YouTube homepage is where people will see your video for the first time and the greatest audience as well. So you really want that moment to last as long as possible, and I just killed both videos. The reason I did this was I sort of had these 2 videos together, and I just thought it was getting a bit boring having the 2 points in it. So yeah, it was a big mistake. And then the next week I did one where I just left it, and you can see here that it just had a nice natural beginning with quite a good spike there, and it's still getting views as I'm recording. That's what I meant about the evergreen stuff. But it had much more opportunity to take with my viewers, and I didn't interrupt it by putting in another video until a week later. And again, this one, you can see now that the spikes are sort of these curves. Sometimes you get a second curve, a second promotion, and again, this is updating live as such, and so over the last 2 days people are still watching this. But the key thing is make sure there's a bit of a gap for your video to take and for people to absorb it. So number 5 is pretty simple. It's be yourself. it's much harder to try and act like someone else or be something else than it is to just be yourself. Be genuine. I found that if I talked about, I guess, my failings and was a little bit self-deprecating, people tended to find that more human than someone presenting like a robot. I mean, there's this AI stuff out there where they're saying make videos with AI, but if you've heard AI speaking, there's no relationship with them. So it's really important to be yourself, because what you'll find is you'll find your tribe, and your tribe will like the way you are and won't want you to change. And in fact, I was getting criticism lately because of the increase in viewers. It attracted a lot more critics, and people started telling me, no, please don't change, don't do anything different, be yourself. And I responded saying, I'm too old to do that. I wouldn't know how to be someone else other than myself. And I think that's really important, because people do end up connecting with you in YouTube. Now, I guess you want to see how much I've actually made in my first 3 months of monetization. So let's get to that. The very first payment I got from YouTube was $144.78. Now, yes, that might not seem a lot, but for me, that was actually surprising. I was expecting maybe $40 or something like that. But the great thing was, as it progressed, the next payment was $208. Then after that, the next payment was $232. And I'm now building up the next one, which seems to be moving even faster. So the payments are growing in terms of size as the channel grows in size and the viewership grows in size. If I got double that, it would really legitimize making this as a nice income, or at least a supplementary one. It's obviously, I'm not going to retire on this, but it was quite a nice surprise. So my advice ultimately is start now, post, refine as you go, take the criticism, read the feedback, and start that journey now, because it is possible to do. Now, I'm not one of those I got monetized in 7 days sorts of videos, but I think it's a bit more of a realistic one for a channel that's not with a broad audience. It's a very niche audience at the moment, mostly New South Wales fossickers, but I'm hoping I can broaden my audience by doing different things. And now that it's monetized, I can experiment a lot more. So I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to seeing your feedback. And by all means, share your channel in the comments below and what you've got as hours and subscribers, and I'm happy to subscribe to your channel and give feedback.